All right, DB. Well, we're less than 24 hours away from the NHL trade deadline, and our coverage here on the fourth period is brought to you by Betway. A few deals that we need to get to, so we'll start in Sunrise, Florida, where the Cats, well, they got their man in Claude Giroux.
Yeah, they got their man, and given the injury to Aaron Ekblad, a little insurance down the stretch. Not that they play the same position, but certainly makes them a much stronger team. Look, you got to credit Bill Zito, Florida Panthers. They knew the market. It was one team, so it was them. So to me, that's the double-edged sword of having a no-movement clause on a contract. Claude, if you look at the reports and listen to the reports, there was some disagreement between Chuck Fletcher and Claude Giroux about coming back and continuing his Flyers career, and he said, well, based on that, I'm going to give you one team. So they did the best they could. I think what this does, Irf, in the offseason, though, when you talk about other players on the Flyers roster, like a Provorov or a Travis Sunheim, kind of raises the stakes to get a return for those players, a better return, because it's not really what you thought. I like Owen Tippett. He could be a solid player down there. They do get a first-round draft pick that's conditional. But to me, I think it puts more pressure on Chuck Fletcher in the offseason to get a better return for the other assets he has.
Former captain of the Calgary Flames, the first ever captain of the Seattle Kraken, Mark Giordano, on a move to a contender in Toronto.
Yeah, I break this trade down in two facets. Like, one is 2 seconds for Mark Giordano, and then a third for Colin Blackwell, who I think could be an effective player as well. Seattle would have liked the first, yes, but as you know, in Vancouver, you hear the same rumblings I do. Teams do not want to trade their first-round picks for rentals. That's just the reality of the marketplace right now. The best Seattle could do is 2 seconds. I think that's a fair return. Disappointing in a season that's been nothing but disappointing for Seattle, but move the player, get 2 seconds, and move on to the next move.
Hampus Lindholm leaving sunny California to go to Boston, where he was traded and then signed as an extension.
Yeah, and this is great maneuverability by Pat Verbeek. He got 3 assets and 2 players for a player who wanted term. He wasn't going to give him more than 4 years. He would have given him a higher AAV. So to get that return for this player, I think, that's not a rental, Irf. When you know you're trading for that player, you're going to sign him. That's where a first round and multiple picks come in. So that's not a rental. So people would say, well, they did trade a first round pick for rental. Nah, I think with respect to that, maybe there was some backroom dealings with respect to that. Now on the Boston side, Irf, they're set till 2030 on the top pair. It's going to be Hampus Lindholm. It's going to be Charlie McAvoy. They're both inked to 2030 when they become restricted free agents. I'm not even sure I'm going to be covering the sport in 2030, so this is a long time out. So again, a team who Hampus Lindholm likes, who thinks he's mentioned it in his immediate availability. They're a championship team, so solid move by Boston. Great return by Pat Verbeek, who's really leaning in to a rebuild in Anaheim.
DB, thank you so much for this. It's going to be really interesting as this weekend did heat up, but we'll see what happens, obviously, later into the evening and tomorrow morning before the NHL trade deadline. Thank you so much for this, DB. And again, our coverage here on the fourth period brought to you by Betway.